I'm in St Austell, Cornwall, where this three-bedroom semi has hardly any worktop space.
You've literally got that.
As counties go, Cornwall really is absolutely gorgeous. This is St Austell, a popular coastal town.
Well, St Austell is one of the biggest towns in Cornwall, and as a result, it's got good road links and also a railway station. And, of course, all the shops and things like that you would expect. So, good news, the property I'm here to see is walking distance from the town centre. And yet the price, well, not as high as you might think. £85,000 to £95,000 was the guide price for a three-bed semi-detached. Let's have a look.
I'm actually approaching the back of the property for reasons that will eventually become clear. What's also clear is the size of this semi and that there is plenty of parking space.
So you're sort of obviously coming in at the back of the property and straight into what you would imagine is the kitchen. It's a big space, but I've never seen a kitchen with so little usable work surface. You've literally got that in the whole kitchen. Now, maybe there's a unit that should go there, but I don't know how that fits in anyway. Whatever, it is a kitchen that is desperately in need of a redesign. But it's certainly not a bad size. So then through, if you like, working backwards through the property, you've got a large living room at the back of the property there, and a similar sort of, equally sized living room at the front of the property, benefiting from kind of conservatory thing. What is it? Conservatory porch thing? Whatever. A thing at the front of the house which is catching lots and lots of light. Now, you want to get that light into the house as much as possible. So I would definitely be inclined to take out this wall and make it really open plan all the way through. And maybe you could incorporate a kitchen redesign into that as well. Almost have the whole of the ground floor as one big open plan space. That would be lovely. But for starters, yes, not seeing anything that I don't like yet. Sounding good. It is actually a really well-proportioned house. So what have we got upstairs? That's not good. That is a fairly significant structural problem, that. Oh, dearie me. OK. Maybe that explains the price, then. I know it's a cliché, but if it's too good to be true, it usually is, and that definitely needs to be investigated. However, in general, house here, space like downstairs, really good. You've got 3 bedrooms, you've got the bathroom, all in need of refurbishment. And as long as you know what's going on there, and as long as you get it for a decent price, maybe it's not an issue. Bit of filler. I'm joking.
Now, of course, the issue could be historical, with movement stopping long ago, and that would then be all well. But before you address the lack of central heating or the antiquated electrics, I think a structural survey is in order, don't you?
Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
Time for a look outside, where I can finally see the beautiful colonial frontage of the house, but that's not what's caught my eye.
So in terms of access to the property, well, you've got car access at the back, and at the front, this kind of slope which leads to a road which goes right into the centre of town. So that's really good news. But out here is a garden, no kidding. But what I'm most interested in is where it goes to, because right through those trees and these bushes, farther than I can see, there is the boundary of the property. So the garden is absolutely massive. Now, it's big enough, perhaps, to build an extension or even a separate dwelling. Ooh, that's interesting.
Now, most legal packs will give you an indication of where your property boundary is, but if there's any doubt, it is best to talk to the land registry. Time to get some other expert advice from the auctioneer who sold this property. What would he do with this semi and ample land guided at between 85 and 95 grand?
If I bought this house, the first thing I'm going to do is either extend it or build another one on the end. And while you're doing that, by definition, you're going to deal with any subsidence issues, so 2 jobs in 1. Once you've dealt with the subsidence one way or another, to just turn this into as good as it can be, I expect you'd struggle to spend £30,000 on it.
And what about that extension new house idea in the garden? What might that cost?
Off the gable end, to deal with the subsidence and to make the most of the asset, I'd go for building a 3-bedroomed house, which would cost £70,000 to £80,000 depending on how big it was, and I reckon about 75 to 80 square metres would do it just right.
But would that provide a return that was just right on the sales market?
This house in apple pie order I can see on the market for about £235,000. The new 3-bed on the end would be worth the better part of £200,000.
So if you do your research, particularly on that subsidence issue, this has to be worth a punt.
Baby, take a chance on me.
Well, it is a lot of property and land for the money. Those historic problems obviously keeping the price down. As long as you know what you let yourself in for, though, and definitely get a structural survey, then it could be an absolute bargain. Let's see who spotted it when it went under the hammer.
Guide is 85 to 95. 85. Good heavens. Who on earth's going to say 80 then? Get it going. 80 we've got. At 80 I've got at 80. There it is. That's simple. Is there 2 somewhere? Got you. 82. Got to ask you for the 4 now, I'm afraid. 84. 84. 86. 87. 87. Oh, 87. 88 is you, sir. At 88. At 88. Looking for 9. At 88. 9. 89. Do I see the 90? 89 and a half. Got you. 89 and a half.
Slow to start, but eventually the bidding got going, and we rejoined the auction at 102,000.
102. 102 and a half. 102 and a half. 102 and a half for the first time. 102 and a half for the second time. At 102 and a half, 3 or not, here we go. Sir, yours, man, I'm so sorry, 102 and a half.
The successful bidders at 102,500 were Tim, here on the right, and Malcolm on the left, both of whom are involved in the running of a charity. I met Malcolm, the charity's asset director, with his tenant sustainment officer, Kate, who also runs the volunteer activities team.
Malcolm, Kate, great to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Tell me why you wanted to buy this place.
It was just a fantastic offer that came up that we saw, that we looked at the property because it's been derelict for about 18 months. And once we saw it actually come on the market, we just thought, yeah, we definitely need it and fitted in quite well with our plans.
Great. Tell me about your plans then. What do you do? I sense there's a story here.
Well, we house homeless people across St Austell.
Oh, wow.
We would like to do the same in this property as well, bring it up to a 5-bedroom place to house and support homeless people in the area.
Is there a big need? Have you got a lot of homeless people here?
Cornwall's got the 4th highest rough sleeper count in the country. So, yes, there is quite a demand in Cornwall.
And this is the first time you've expanded?
No, this is our 4th property that we've bought.
Okay.
All the others have been on the open market. We've leased 2 properties, bought 2 on the open market, and this is our first auction property.
So, Kate, what was it about this house particularly that you liked?
Well, first of all, the location's fantastic. If we have any residents with mobility issues, they're very close to town. It's got a lovely aspect, enough room to perhaps develop and use the garden as well. And it's just the right size to house some of the lower support people that we've got at the moment.
Right. So what are the plans for it then?
Well, at this moment in time, we're going to convert it into a 5-bedroomed accommodation, move-on accommodation, but then we're looking to make the actual main house 2 1-bedroom flats, starter flats, and then build onto the side and have a 2-bedroom starter home to sell on in the future.
Oh, wow. So, Kate, talk me through the renovation plan. What have you got lined up?
One of our main things is to involve not only contractors but volunteers and also residents in the renovation of the property. So we're going to totally renovate the inside, change a few of the doorways and things. There's not actually as much as we thought there was to do, which is fantastic, but we're hoping that within 3 or 4 months we'll be
there.
on our way to a nice 5-bedroom property with a shared kitchen and lounge.
And within your volunteer group, do you have contractors? Do you have people who can do plumbing and
Absolutely, yeah.
electrics?
We have sprinkler systems, because we will be putting a sprinkler system in, electricians. That's with our own contractor database, but we also have volunteers that do electrical works, gardening works, painting and decorating. So it's basically a lot of people get involved.
So let's just recap the separate stages of this worthwhile project. The grand scheme here is to convert the main house with the addition of a possible extension into 2 flats and also add further affordable housing on the grounds here. All the properties will then be sold on to the benefit of the charity. This is, of course, all dependent on planning, and as we know, this can take some time. Rather than let the house lie empty, the charity will do a first-stage renovation here. That not only gives them a head start on the work required on the main house, but will turn it into a 5-bedroom shared house that will be used by residents that they work with at the charity, who are almost ready to live independently. Phew! So what is the budget for the first stage?
Between, at the moment, 35 to 40,000.
Oh, wow, that's getting it all done for free as well.
Well, yeah, but we're going to put sprinkler systems in, but we're also going to make it that when we do convert to 2 flats, that most of the work is already done. So we're going to bring it up to building regulations, sprinkler systems, divide the electrics, etc. We're going to spend a lot of money on the gardens. We've got a bit of structural works to do.
Yes.
But so we're budgeting between 35 to 40, and that includes the furnishings as well.
Right. Let's talk about the structural things you mentioned. It does look like there's been a bit of subsidence at some point, perhaps, a bit of damp. What have you found out so far?
Well, it's not as bad as we thought, which is fantastic. And if there is any sort of underpinning or anything to do, we will do that at a later stage, whether we decide to build on to the side or not. We've had a good look and had the surveying done, and we think it's not too much of an issue for us to move forwards at this stage.
Right. Well, listen, it's a really worthwhile project. Lovely to hear about the charity.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing how you get on.
Thank you.
Well, I always love it when properties go to worthwhile causes. Well, you could probably say that whoever buys them, it's a worthwhile cause, but you know what I mean. A great charity housing homeless people. And it seems like the house is perfect for them, with that opportunity as well of adding on to the side and generating much needed funds. Fantastic. How will they get on? You can find out later in the show.
We're heading back to the beautiful Cornish coast to see a really nice 3-bed semi. That, though dated, offered plenty of space downstairs.
So what have we got upstairs? That is a fairly significant structural problem, that. Oh, dearie me.
But I was over the moon when I saw the garden, because the potential here was sky high to extend or even build an additional property here. Buying this property at auction on behalf of a local charity for £102,500 was Malcolm. Malcolm is the charity's asset director, and Kate is the tenant sustainment officer.
Well, we house homeless people across St Austell.
Oh, wow.
We would like to do the same in this property as well, bring it up to a 5-bedroom place to house and support homeless people in the area.
Is there a big need? Have you got a lot of homeless people here?
Cornwall's got the 4th highest rough sleeper count in the country. So, yes, there is quite a demand in Cornwall.
So they not only hope to transform this property, but also the lives of those who could call it home. The plan was in 2 stages to benefit the charity. First, they would renovate throughout and convert this home into a 5-bed shared accommodation that can be used in the short term whilst they apply for phase 2. This would be to convert the house into 2 1-bedroom flats, and then they would hopefully add a detached home on the extra land. All the properties would then be sold to add to the charity's funds, so a complex yet worthwhile plan. They hope to have the 5-bed accommodation up and running in 3 to 4 months, so we're back 4 months later to see if it's all gone to plan. And I'm happy to say that it has. The layout has seen massive changes downstairs. The old front room is now the shared living room. Next door is the galley kitchen. The clever thing is that this partition wall will easily come down when they make this the kitchen diner for the one-bedroom flat in phase 2. By blocking this window, a downstairs shower room was possible. And it solved the problem of failing window lintels, which caused the crack on the stairs. At the back of downstairs, there are now 2 bedrooms. Upstairs, if I said there are still 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, you'd think not much layout has changed, but you'd be wrong. They've moved walls around internally to make the rooms of a more even size and added space by bringing the old balcony inside. Everyone involved here really has done an amazing job, and the hard work is really evident in the garden. Malcolm has project managed this transformation while Kate was organising help not only with volunteers but also the residents who would live here.
We've already got 2 of the rooms occupied, and as soon as possible we'd like to get the other 3. In fact, we've already got people ready to move in, so we're really pleased it's been such a quick turnaround. Yeah. Our residents themselves decided they'd like to get involved with the garden and things, so we've had people helping with the paths, had people helping clear the ground, doing some of the physical work, and then also helping with some of the finer things like planting the plants and laying the turf. It's been an all-hands-on-deck sort of job, really, and we've had to go with the weather. We've just been really lucky to have volunteers from the community and our own residents as well, so they've taken real ownership over the property. And so one of the initiatives that we have is for people to grow their own food themselves. We've got some lettuces and things out there at the moment that people can enjoy. And it's a hobby as well. It's a positive use of people's time for when they live here. And hopefully it's something that will be continued.
That's a really nice idea. One thing that doesn't grow on trees, however, is money. And it costs £2,000 more than their original £40,000 top budget. But they have already laid most of the groundwork, so converting it into 2 flats will only take 2 to 3 weeks. But it's the planning stage that will take time.
Well, we are looking to build 2 townhouses on here, with the idea of selling the whole lot as either affordable homes or whatever, for people to actually be able to live here and for people to stay also to move in here, for us to be able to buy bigger properties further out into the country with the ethos of our charity.
Well, it's time to ask 2 local estate agents round to find out their thoughts on the house and if converting to flats would be a good move. First, the agent who sold it and gave us his opinions before work started.
My first impressions of the property are that I've come back to the wrong address, because it's absolutely astounding what the chap and his team have done. Never seen anything like it. The layout, on the face of it, appears very specific to the charity's function, but when you just look a little bit closer, it wouldn't take anything to turn it into 2 really good-sized 1 or 2 bedroom flats.
I think the layout changes are for the better. What we now offer is 2 very different styles of property. Whereas formerly perhaps we were looking at family accommodation, we're now appealing to investment buyers, maybe first-time buyers. I think the conversion's for the better in this location of town.
As it stands, because it's not set up as a family home, the agents think it could be worth between $215,000 and $225,000. That would be an excellent pre-tax return on their £144,500 that they've invested. What sort of prices would the 2 planned flats make?
Individually, as 1-bedroom apartments, I would feel £110,000 to £120,000 would be appropriate.
The 2 flats, ground and first floor, would be worth a similar amount, depending on how much garden space went with each. I would imagine they'd be viably on the market at around £120,000.
Yeah, again, that's roughly the ballpark. We've had a slightly higher figure, but I would say that's roughly in the ballpark figure that we're looking at, which is pretty good.
Well, I've been really impressed with this wonderful renovation, but more so with the work that Malcolm, Kate and all the volunteers do for the charity. And I'm sure this house will have a big impact on people's lives.
But it's fantastic because some of the guys and girls that are moving into here are ready for independent living. It's just that last step before that, so we don't bed block in any of our other properties. So this is very low support, just getting ready, getting used to sharing a house with other people, having that amount of freedom, yet still the security to fall back on should there be any problems.
People can't believe the turnaround. They are absolutely enamoured with the state of the rooms now, you know, the quality of finish that we've managed to achieve in such a short amount of time, and they're really keen to let us know that it really makes a difference to sort of how they're feeling in themselves to have such a lovely place to live.